Happy Sunday, everybody. Last day of April, April 30th, 2017. Steve Sipress here at my daily Facebook Live video, also going out to my blog, my podcast, YouTube, all over the place. And what I want to talk about today is last night, my beautiful wife, Michelle, and I finally watched a movie that we were thinking about watching ever since it was nominated or for an Oscar, won, I think somebody won something. As usual, not doing my research for the video here. I'm sure I easily could have looked up that it was at least nominated for some kind of Oscar for something. Anyway, so this movie, Lion. So we finally watched this thing, and for those of you that haven't seen it, I'm not going to ruin it at all. I'm just going to tell you that this movie had very little to capture our attention and hold it for the whole, and again, I could have looked this up, but it was an hour and a half or 2 hours that this movie was going on. There was absolutely zero that I can remember special effects pretty much of any kind. There was no, at least to us, well-known, well, there was one well-known minor character in there playing a minor part, but it wasn't like, the actors were the big draw, or the excitement and the action was a big draw. It wasn't a sequel to some movie that we already knew, and therefore we're looking forward to, I got to see this. It was, what's this thing all about? And in fact, I got to tell you, the first, at least a third of the movie, there wasn't even a word of English spoken. I'm serious. Now, again, this could be the version we were watching, but there weren't even subtitles going across the bottom of the screen. It was some language and or dialect from the country of India. And my beautiful wife, Michelle, and I could not understand a word that was being said. And yet, we were pulled into this film and we continue to watch it because of the riveting story. There's Jerry Ajinsky, a master storyteller via video. Now I'm almost embarrassed and ashamed to be doing this in front of you, Jerry, because you are the master of recording videos. So I will now keep it as short as possible. Just the point is, that's the one thing this movie had going for it. I'm talking about the movie Lion. I don't know if you saw that. No special effects, not like some, riveting conversation. We couldn't even understand a word of it. It was a foreign language for the first third or half of the movie. But it was, and characters, not a big deal. We weren't enthralled with the nuances of these characters or anything. It was the story, and most importantly, it was the fact that when it first started, it came up on the screen and it said based on a true story. So knowing that it was a true story is pretty much the only thing. Also, I'd have to say it had to have an effect knowing that it was nominated or won some kind of Academy Award. So we're like, despite how slow moving and no special effects and, there's one minor actress, a minor role for a major actress came in later in the film. But for the first third or a half of this film, we're like, why are we still watching this? We were still watching it because it was based on a true story, and we wanted to see the end. We wanted to see the resolution of the storyline, the tension that was drawn up in the story. So in the same way, I'm reminded, because I had a call yesterday with a brand new client. I've recently taken on a few new clients, and he discussed his current business and where he wants to take it, and I want to do more of this, and I want to do that, I want to do this, and I've got these materials and whatever, and this is where I want to get a whole bunch of new clients. And my question, which I was hesitating to ask because I was afraid of the answer, because the answer I get when I ask so many small business owners for a story is, gee, I don't have one. I'm just another attorney. I'm just the heating and air guy. And I'll try and pull the teeth out of them because there's a story in everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Jerry. Yes, and Jerry's storytelling is the key to selling. So at least I got that right, folks. I really believe it is. And I'm telling you here. So many times a business owner will come and tell me, I'm just good at it, or I worked for so-and-so, now I'm on my own, but they don't, that's not a compelling story. The story of why you're in business is very important. I call it the origin story of the business owner. It's huge importance when you want to get new customers or patients or clients or whatever you're looking to attract to your business, because they don't want to hear, and often I'll hear this, well, they'll start telling a me story. Well, I went to school and I was really good at such and such, so I figured I'd become such and such because I can make a lot of money out of it. Like, that's not what I mean about a hero story or an origin story, whatever you want to call it, about something that will attract and practically compel prospects to come running to business with you, as opposed to everybody else who is only telling that story, who is just a provider of the service and either is not telling a story or is poorly telling a story or is telling a meaningless story. Any of those, not nearly 1 millionth as powerful as telling the right story in the right way. So hopefully you have Jerry, you have me, you have somebody that knows what they're doing to, number one, pull this story out of you and then craft it in a certain way that it's compelling. Because I got to tell you, anyone else that's seen this movie, hey, Phil, um, of course, Phil's telling you no one cares about the features of the widgets that I sell. I use true stories about stuff I've done constantly in my marketing. And of course, that's why you're a success, Phil. That's why you know what you're doing. So people are always told to sell based on the features or the benefits or, what it can do or what all about the product, all about the service. And, I got to tell you, if you don't realize this from the customer's point of view, the prospect's point of view, our eyes are glazing over. We're like, whatever. I mean, I've heard that from the 5 others that I'm calling to possibly come and fix my plumbing or do my heating or fix my car or become my attorney or whatever it is you're looking for somebody to do. I want to hear the story, and I don't want to hear the story from the attorney who says, the reason I became an attorney is because I was always a really good student in school, and I got good grades, and I got into law school, and I figured, man, what a great way to make a lot of money, and my mom was really proud of me that I would go be an attorney. That's not what I'm talking about. That's another kind of story. And I'm not saying that's not a story, that's your story. That's not a story you want to be telling to prospects if you want to use it to compel them to do business with you. Okay, every attorney, doctor, plumber, lawyer, garbage collector, I don't care what it is you do, I or somebody else who's skilled at it can pull a heroic story out of you about why you're doing that and what benefit you bring to customers, the passion you have for it. That's how you attract people. So I'm telling you, if you watch this movie Lion, if you've ever seen it, do not expect that it's riveting action. And it's got great special effects and it's just spectacular. I mean, there was really nothing at all to it other than a compelling story that made us stay through half of the movie where they're not even speaking English. Couldn't even understand a word. Characters that, on the other side of the world, literally the other side of the world, the entire movie. I'm in the US, so to me, it's the other side of the world. I have clients that are in India and throughout the world. So if you're on that side of the world, I guess I'm on the other side of the world too. And then I need to tell a compelling story. But these are people in India, Australia, like the cultures are foreign to me. The characters are all foreign to me. The place is foreign to me, like nothing compelling. And when we're watching movies at home, I don't know about you, but we've got 500 channels of cable and Netflix and whatever the heck. I mean, there's hundreds and hundreds of, there's pretty much every movie ever made, every TV show ever made. So we are very quick on the draw. We'll look at something and say, I don't know, does that look good? What do you think? Whatever. And unlike, if you go to a movie theater where you pay money, you're likely to stay longer. We are very quick on the draw to say, like, all right, this is too slow moving, or this isn't it, or this is, too trite, it's too predictable, it's crappy, or the acting is terrible, script, whatever reason. Are we done with this one? Let's find another. And we stuck through the entire hour and a half or 2 hours of this thing, despite anything that you would think are the elements of what makes a riveting, successful movie. So in the same way, whatever business you're in, you think, yeah, but Steve, I'm just whatever. There's nothing exciting about what I do. Nobody's interested in the story, whatever. Wrong, 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 wrong. You could not be more wrong. No apple for you today. No prize, no gift. You're incorrect. Find somebody. I don't expect you to know. I didn't know when I first started. Find somebody like me or somebody else that knows. You see Phil is on here, Jerry's on here. People have done it for themselves, and maybe they can help others. I certainly do. Find a coach, a mentor, board of directors, guides, whatever you want to call, consultants, coaches, whatever you call it. Find somebody that is especially adept at this skill, at turning mundane, I don't have a story, going through the motions, but I'm good at what I do, and I have good features and benefits of my product and service and whatever, into let's pull out the human story. So to close it off, I was so excited yesterday. My client responded to me by telling me that he had a story to go along with why he was doing this. He said, man, I once got into the same trouble myself, and I know what it's like, and I learned how to get out of it, and now I help other people get out of this problem that can ruin their entire life, almost took my marriage, almost took my business away, and I make it my mission to help people get out of this. And I was like, oh my goodness, is this awesome? Is this awesome or what? For one, I did not have to pull teeth. I didn't have to explain the power of the story. He knew the power of the story. And then I asked, I said, so do you tell this story when you meet clients? He meets clients, he does grunt work to meet them. That's why he hired me as a marketing expert. He goes to networking meetings, and I'm like, when you meet these prospects, do you tell them that story? Oh, yes, absolutely. And then afterwards, you told me you follow up and you drop them a note. Do you tell your story again in that note, in that letter you send them? Oh, no, I don't. I tell them about oh, excellent opportunity. That's where we can inject the story. And if I went to your website, to your client, a new client of mine, would I see that compelling story there on the website? No, I don't tell it there. The typical how long you've been in business and what do you do and who and whatever. Again, pretty much if you took all that away, all of what you think you're supposed to put, if you took all that away and just told the story, I'm here to tell you, I'm going to inject the story. It's got to be put in the right place and told in the right way. But man, my job was just made a zillion times easier to bring in so many clients and loving bringing who out there, if you are a consultant, doesn't dream of being able to bring clients to a business owner who has that story, who has that heroic story of this is why all my passion is that I love to help people because I hate to see them going through what I went through. And I know they can't solve it on their own. It took me years and money and whatever. And now that's what I do. Well, you got to tell that story all the time. First, you got to figure out what that story is. You got to have that. Everyone has it. You got to get someone or yourself to pull it out of you. And then you got to tell it in the right place, in the right way, as much as you can. And then you won't need the special effects and the big blockbuster action and the car chases and the exotic locations and the Oscar-winning actors all over the film because there was none of this in this movie, and it doesn't have to be any of that in your business if you have the compelling and best of all a true story. So I'm not saying make this up. I mean, better than having no story, I guess, is making one up. Okay, in that case, it's another subject that says if you are not you don't want to be the main character of your business, then you got to be really brilliant enough to come up with the Charlie the Tuna or the Smokey the Bear or the Tony the Tiger or the character of your business. But for most small business owners, it's you, it's me. We're the star of our business. We need to tell that compelling story in the right time, in the right way. That's it for today. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Jerry. Thanks anybody else that's here live. Steve Rossman. Now talk about the other side of the world. It's as if I put out the bat signal for people on the other side of the world, and there's Steve Rossman from the land of Down Under. So Steve, I got to ask you, if you're still here, have you seen this movie Lion? Because like half of the movie takes place in Australia, in around Melbourne, I think, and I think you're in Sydney. Or now, of course, I'm showing my ignorance, and I've known you for, I don't know, 8 or 10 years, and now I'm mixing up, because all those cities in Australia are the same. That's my excuse. I'm sticking with it. So I don't know if you're still here, Steve, but Steve knows how to do this too. So contact someone who knows how to get this done. Tell that compelling story, please. Entrepreneurs, business owners, don't be just another and try and sell your stuff because of the stuff and because of what it's got in it and what it does and how many years you've been in business and whether you're family owned and operated. Well, that's part of your story, if that's part of your story, or that it's what all the depending on the industry you're in, almost every website, business card, yellow page ad, clipper coupon ad, whatever it is you're using to sell in your business, I could change the name and the logo and the number and all the different ads, and they all look the same, except for the one that's smart enough to tell the story. Lee Werner. Wow, Lee Werner says, thanks, Steve, with a question mark. So I don't know if that means, oh, he means exclamation. I was like, wow, okay, is it that bad? Lee Werner, fantastic to see please give my love to Donna. Thanks for being here. You just caught the end of it, so check out the replay if you want. But Lee, you're in a profession as an accountant, which people could see is boring. Okay, how good you are with numbers, whatever. I'm just here to let you know that people will buy more of your accounting services if you tell a compelling story. So that's my wish for everybody. And today, being a Sunday, is an ideal day to think. While you're relaxing and enjoying your Sunday, think about what's my story. And if you need, contact me if you need some help. Send me a private message on Facebook, tweet me at Steve Sipress, steve@stevecypress.com, email, any way at all you want to get a hold of me, because this is what I do for people. This is one way I've revolutionized businesses, incomes, and lives of small business owners and entrepreneurs. I substitute, I don't take away, but I enhance, instead of just all the product and benefits and features nonsense. I guess, sure have some of that, but I enhance it all by drawing out of you the story that will compel people to stick with you. This is why you've got to have your newsletter and put up your videos and have your blog and tell that ongoing story. Let people in, let it evolve. People keep coming back and want to do business with you, and they'll never want to leave you because they won't want to leave in the middle of a compelling story. So I know you have one. You got to bring it out, and you got to tell it all the time. That's it for today. Thanks, Lee. Thanks, Steve, Phil, Jerry, for being here live on the video. Anyone else that's watching on the replay, I will be back again tomorrow with another of my daily Facebook Live videos. Thanks for today, and I'll see you tomorrow.